Before we begin, my 4,000 subscriber Q&A is currently ongoing. If you wish to leave me any questions, go to the link in the description and in the pinned comment. Thank you all and enjoy the video. So we got Captain Gold coming in here to explain how the Rage virus ended up destroying the UK in 28 days later. Now Captain Gold has become one of my favourite YouTubers as of recent. He's really big into zombie stuff and making all sorts of videos about different apocalypses. I found him through his Dawn of the Dead videos. But I'm very curious to see, how did the Rage virus destroy the UK? So let's just get started straight away. I'm excited. What do you got, Captain?
In the opening moments of 28 days later, we witnessed the escape of the Rage virus, only to then fast forward 28 literal days into the future, where we then witnessed Jim awaken in St. Thomas's Hospital.
Maybe this is a bit of a pet peeve for me, but I really wish that zombie media would stop doing this. I feel like the most interesting parts of a zombie story is seeing how the world reacts when the whole world goes to chaos. I really wish more zombie films, TV shows and books etc. did that, where we actually get to see the slow progression of how everything goes to hell. It's such a shame that most shows and stuff just skip straight ahead into like 30 days into the apocalypse, a month into the apocalypse and so on. I really want there to be more focus on the fall, the initial fall.
A world that seemingly ended. And what follows is one of the most iconic images in zombie cinema history.
Oh yeah, you can't beat it. Desolate London, how 28 days later was shot, masterpiece.
A lone figure in hospital scrubs drifting through the silent, deserted streets of London. It's a haunting glimpse of a society that has already collapsed. But it also raises a pressing question.
How exactly did it collapse in the first place?
Just how did the Rage virus bring the United Kingdom to its knees so completely? The fall of Great Britain can be traced back to the very origins of the virus, which was detailed in the 28 Days Later Aftermath comic. Now,
oh, that's what it's called. I did know about, there was a comic about 28 Days Later that goes into a bit more detail about the Rage virus, but I'm curious to see exactly what happened to cause the initial fall.
Believe it or not, the Rage virus actually had a noble origin story, which was
I did know this.
Inevitably ruined by the actions of one smooth-brained virologist.
Yeah, it's true. The Rage virus was actually made to stop Rage, but it was due to what he'll explain in a bit. It just caused it to be completely flipped on its head.
This man-made pathogen was the byproduct of a Cambridge project, led by scientists Clive and Warren, who had the goal of isolating specific neurochemicals that cause anger and excessive aggression in humans, all in order to then develop an inhibitor that regulates anger control issues.
Yeah, there you go. So you see, it was originally made to stop rage as opposed to making people more angry.
Now, after they successfully developed an inhibitor, low IQ Warren felt that delivering this inhibitor with a pill or an aerosol wouldn't be optimal. Hell,
yep, here's where it all goes to shit.
He didn't even want other people's consent, as he aimed to release this new virus into the general population without any notice.
Oh yeah, a proper stand-up guy that, here, let's send out this prototype, this not fully tested thing into the world. Surely nothing will go wrong from this, right?
Hence, this dingbat decided to use the Ebola virus as the primary delivery system.
Yep, there you go. If you didn't know, the Rage virus is a combination of the Rage inhibitor and the Ebola virus. Again, bloody genius we've got here, folks, honestly. I swear, people dog on 28 Weeks Later for having one of the worst decisions in all of horror and zombie media. But this has got to be up in the top 5 for sure. Who would have thought mixing in a potentially hazardous and dangerous inhibitor with the Ebola virus would be a good idea? Apparently this nutjob did as well, and it costed all of the UK everything.
And after testing this new concoction on the Primate Research Center's chimpanzees, several isolated genomes in the Ebola virus reacted to the inhibitor and mutated, causing the inhibitor to have the opposite of the intended effect, meaning that instead of inhibiting anger, the new bioengineered virus caused its host to become full of perpetual rage.
And this guy, he got the Rage virus. That's, what's his name? I'm trying to think. That's Don from 28 Weeks Later. How he got the Rage virus? Simple. He made out with his wife, who he knew was infected. I mean, look at this guy here. He knew what he did, but he messed up.
Disgusted by what he and Warren had created, Clive quit from the project and informed the Animal Freedom Front about the experimentation on animals, thus leading to the break-in which unwittingly set the virus loose.
Oh yeah, I don't get this point really. You think they would have a lot more guards and a lot more security at this primate research center, right? Especially because they've been informed about the Rage virus. You think they'd have a little bit more security than just like one scientist there or something like that. It's silly how they were able to break in.
Yup, that's right. Instead of informing government authorities or journalists, Clive the imbecile contacted some bleeding heart dumbasses who also didn't contact journalists or government officials. Now, once the virus got loose, it rapidly spread throughout the city of Cambridge, and somehow it reached London the very same day it escaped the lab.
Really, the very same day. I thought it'd take at least over 24 hours for that to happen, but yeah. What makes the rage virus so scary is not only does it turn you into like an infected rabies-induced animal or something, but it's also just how infectious the virus is. One single drop of blood or fluid or any other kind of stuff like that into a cut, an orifice, whichever, you're done for and you turn within like 15, 20 seconds at the most. It's scary how quick the rage virus spreads. And 28 days later, Frank actually ended up getting infected because a infected drop of blood from a crow ended up getting into one of his eyes. So you don't even have to worry about the infected first of all, the animals can get you too. It's scary, the rage virus.
Now, for those of you who don't know this, Cambridge is roughly 61.1 miles away from London. So the only way this virus could have hit the streets of the greater London metropolitan area is by hitching a ride on a local train.
And I believe 28 years later kinda did a scene with that, didn't they, in Bone Temple? Still haven't seen it yet, but I do want to.
Which is certainly plausible. During the first 5 days of the outbreak, government authorities believed the civil unrest seen in the streets of major British cities were merely motivated by some unknown political movement.
As you do. Sure, the people puking up gallons of blood onto the streets and tearing people to shreds. Sure, that's just political backlash, surely.
That or that they were coordinated terrorist operations conducted by sleeper cells within the nation.
Well, then again, this film, I think, chronologically takes place in 2002. So this would be basically not even a full year after 9/11 happened, so it would make sense why they'd assume that.
After all, this was in 2002 and the
Oh, well, never mind, sorry.
war on terror was still fresh in the public's consciousness.
Oh, we were thinking the same thing, Captain. We were thinking the same thing.
Be that as it may, folks on the ground, and not in Parliament, quickly began to understand just how dire the situation was. And this ultimately caused mass panic as millions of British citizens began to fight for finite supplies, bug out to the countryside, and most importantly, sought to flee the country entirely.
Alright, so you know the issue we have with Cedar and Left 4 Dead by, calling the virus the green flu to try and lower fear and everything, but it does play a key point. Having people go into mass panic could easily spread an infection. Because if people are afraid, they're going to do reckless and stupid decisions, which will just end up spreading the virus more. Maybe the one time they should have actually deceived the public, they should have done it here, but I guess they didn't.
A mass exodus which we know caused chaos overseas. The United Kingdom's extensive mass transit system also likely accelerated the spread of the rage virus. This inevitably led to the exponential spread of the contagion. Military and law enforcement checkpoints began to be overrun by desperately violent survivors and the infected.
Alright, so this is one of those instances, hold on, I'll go back for a second. This is one of those instances in a zombie-adjacent media, because I know, infected, not real zombies, but I mean, they're very close to zombies, let's be real here. But anyways, this is one of those times during an apocalypse where I could actually see the military failing, or the government failing, because the rage virus is insane. People are running at top speed, they don't really get exhausted that easily. One drop of blood or saliva in you, you turn within 20 seconds. This is one of those few instances where I could be like, yeah, I could totally see the military failing.
With entire supply lines collapsing, discipline and unit cohesion breaking across ranks, and the very fabric of society coming undone as the nation's healthcare system was quickly overwhelmed. Hence, by the end of the 6th day, government officials must have understood this shit was hitting the fan. Because on the 7th day, the British government finally declared nationwide martial law.
Only took a week for martial law, dang, okay, catch up Brits, come on now.
An act which was clearly too little too late. And over the course of the following days, we know the government attempted to crush the virus by firebombing Manchester.
Yes, they did.
After witnessing a once respected world power collapse from within, at the hands of a frightening man-made pathogen, the United Nations and NATO quarantined the British Isles on the 15th day.
But it actually wasn't originally supposed to be that way, I don't think, because if you remember, there is a line in 28 Days Later when Jim is locked up by the military men. One of the people who's in the same cell as him said, oh, it's spread everywhere, it's gone worldwide. Because I believe originally it was supposed to have gone global, but I think like at the last minute they decided to isolate it to only the UK. So that is a kind of a little bit of a retcon they did later on, but yeah, there you go. They did eventually isolate it from what we know now in 28 weeks later and so on.
The Channel Tunnel was sealed, and an international naval blockade was established to prevent entry and exit into and out of the United Kingdom, a denial of movement which was enforced by the very threat of deadly force. And this was, perhaps, the final nail in the coffin.
Yeah, because all the people who were stuck in there, they basically just say, oh, you're done for, mate, you're a liability, just get on with it, really. But one of the few times as well, the military's actually smart. The governments are actually smart. They just don't hesitate with locking away the infection instead of letting it go and rampage stuff. They realized, oh crap, we've got something here, we need to do something with this immediately, and they shut everything off.
The United Kingdom was bleeding out before the international community's eyes, and the world just fucking watched. Not long after this international exclusion zone was formed, the UK's energy and water infrastructure finally went offline.
Honestly, I'm surprised it lasted longer than a week, to be completely honest. It took over 15 days for that to happen. Very surprised.
Emergency services collapsed and the military was essentially disbanded. And by the 28th day, the
Oh, it's 20 years Left 4 Dead as well, funny.
infected had reached their peak population, and the United Kingdom had officially fell to the unrelenting wrath of the rage viruses infected. Interestingly enough, we see in the comics that Shetland Island somehow experienced an outbreak. How this occurred is never explicitly explained, but I believe an asymptomatic carrier likely made it to the island, only to then cause an outbreak in that remote territory.
That is true, because if you remember, in 28 weeks later, Don's wife is, like, a carrier. She's infected with the rage virus, but she doesn't show any symptoms. However, she can still pass on the infection via blood, saliva, or biting, you know, typical zombie format and stuff. So that is a pretty plausible theory as to how it got over there.
Nevertheless, by the time most of the infected starved out, roughly 5 weeks into the epidemic, the UK had completely fallen. Only small pockets of scattered survivors were left, as most UK residents were either dead, infected, surviving, or living overseas as refugees.
You see, this is originally why, I'll move it back for a second, this is originally why I ranked 28 Days Later below, Dawn of the Dead 2004, because we know that 28 Days Later, before 28 years later, and you know, they learned to evolve, they only had a finite amount of time. They were deadly as hell and they were scary, but you could play the long game. Hunker down for a couple months and they all starve to death, and you win that way. But with 28 years later, that shifted, so yeah, that's why. But yeah, it's crazy, honestly, about how stupid and overpowered the rage virus is. It's no Return of the Living Dead, but it's bloody scary.
Many who survived on the British Isles even believed that the world had come to an end, with rumors spreading throughout the population. Tales of Paris and New York experiencing outbreaks we now know never occurred.
Wait, they didn't occur? Then what the hell is this? Was this a retcon then? I don't know if Captain will be watching this, but can somebody explain, like... Yeah, because I remember 28 weeks later ends with them running to Paris, implying that Europe fell too. So wait, was this just a dream? Was this something that was planned but was never done? Or did they quickly deal with the rage virus here and so Paris was fine? I'm very curious to hear this.
Occurred. And in a fortunate twist of fate, Jim seemingly got to skip the very worst part of the rage epidemic, as just 7 days after he woke up in the hospital, most of the infected had succumbed to starvation.
Yeah, how the hell did Jim survive that? Look, I could buy some, like, hospital equipment staying on for a little while, sure, but for, like, I think 2 weeks, or near enough 2 weeks after the power and everything shut off, he was still kicking. Like, I'm very surprised. I mean, he was weak and, you know, malnourished and whatnot when he woke up, but how was that boy not dead? The answer is plot armor, unfortunately. Jim, I love you. Cillian Murphy, you're awesome too, mate, but that's a little bit bollocks in my opinion.
Anyways, that's all I've got for you in this video. If you like this sort of content and want to see more of it, please like, share, and subscribe.
Oh, hell yeah, I definitely would, man. Captain Gold, you are so awesome, dude. I love zombie stuff, and seeing you also nerd out about zombies and stuff, I love it, mate. Honestly, you're so good. So, that was how the rage virus destroyed the UK 28 days later. Please go and show Captain Gold some love. The link is in the description if you want to go and check him out. I'll definitely be sure to watch more videos of him if you would like me to. But for now, I'm your local Mage Dark, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care, my disciples.